today I am chatting with Helen Peanut, aka Peanut Draws. At the moment, Helen is a software engineer and artist on the side. She's probably most well known for her Mob Psycho fan arts and Mob Psycho calendar project especially. In this video, we mostly talk about her experience reintroducing art into her life after college, and how her travels and daily life influenced her to develop a unique perspective of art. It's really nice chatting with Helen, and I admit we mostly talk about life stuff and not much art stuff, but there's some of that as well. So I hope you will enjoy learning a little bit more about Helen. On to the interview. Oh my god, it's working!
It's working? Okay, I think
now.
it just it went bad when I plugged in my headset, and then I think it just switched the audio input to something else.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I shouldn't have been like, oh, let me try it.
Okay. Yay, it's working now.
Yay! Hi, how are you?
Good. Do you know what? Do you see this? Your calendar's right there.
Oh my god! Yay!
Yay.
Are you gonna read it this year?
That's from last year. I didn't get one for this year.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna reuse mine from last year because I'm like, oh, such a waste to just throw things away. So
even though the dates are wrong.
the dates are the right dates.
Okay, you know what? This morning I scrolled through nearly your entire Curious Cat.
Oh my god! You know what? It's so funny because Curious Cat was gone for like 3 weeks and people were like freaking out, and then like just a few days ago it came back. So
I'm very glad it came back for this.
I know. They knew.
I guess we should start with the most common question, which you definitely have tackled before many times, which is like, you are not like a professional artist. You work a 9 to 5, like a usual day job, and you do art on the side. But I think from the outside on social media, you seem as professional as any other professional artist. So people might be curious how that happened, like how you balance your job and your art thing.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you. That's like super validating to hear. Um, yeah, so like you said, and like I mentioned before, I work a 9 to 5 job in the tech industry. Um, I actually work in like the gaming space. I'm like in the mobile gaming industry, but I kind of work as like a backend engineer. So in my day job, there's like nothing like visual about it. It's not even like, game development where you get to, use Unity and use a game engine. No, it's nothing like that. So, between my day job and what I do as a hobby for art, it's like super different. Which is nice, I think, because, you get to use both sides of your brain. It's just a nice variety, I think. And how I balance that, it's not easy. Like when you finished a day of work, it's not like you can just go straight to drawing and, be more productive with my personal stuff. I'm so tired. I need to like somehow make food and have dinner and then like maybe watch like Netflix and anime and like just go to bed. So like that's how my weekdays go usually. There's really like, it's not anything where I allocate hours to drawing on a weekday. I kind of just on a weekend when I have time, and I feel like it, I dabble in drawing. So as far as balance goes, you could argue it's not really a nice balance, right? It's not really half and half. But what I'm doing currently is I'm on a sabbatical. So I asked my boss if I could take essentially a 6-month vacation unpaid, and he was cool with that. So, I think some of it is just taking a much needed break, and other is just having time for myself to do other things. Art being one of them. So, kind of exciting time.
So when does your sabbatical end?
It's supposed to end in April.
Ooh, you got some
So
time.
yeah, I've already, I mean, I've already used up a couple months of it. I don't know what I did. I think all I did was just rest, consume media. But yeah, we'll see how the next 4 months go. And if I need more time, I'll just ask for more time. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to expose you, but in several of your answers, you mentioned wanting to perhaps just leave your job. But
Oh
I
my
think,
God. Yeah, do it. Expose me. Everybody already knows. It's like something that I'm considering just because, like I mentioned, having a 9 to 5, like so much of your day goes into a day job. And then when you go home, you're just so tired that it's not really half of your day that you're using up for your job. It's more than that because just it's so mentally draining. And physically draining because I literally got RSI from like typing and coding
Mhm.
and not drawing. um, so yeah, that's something that I've been considering for a while, and I thought, you know what, like, why don't I just ask for a long-term leave and see how it's like, not working full-time for the first time in years. It's kind of like a trial run to see what I'm doing if I'm not working for like 8 hours of a day, and just to be able to pursue my other hobbies. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know at this point if, I want to switch careers completely. I think that being an engineer is still very much an important part of my identity. And it's something that I still, like, I do enjoy doing, despite it being so different from art, in the creative process. So, I'm always just like, we'll just play how it, and see how it goes and play it by ear.
Do you ever feel during this time, do you feel obligated to draw just because you have such a long break that you're like, now or never?
Right? Right? Oh my God. Yeah. Actually going into it, I was like telling myself, I was like, you cannot feel like you have to produce something. Even in the first 2 months, it's okay to just rest. But I think it's actually quite the opposite. So, before when I was working and I can only draw on the weekends, the mentality was, oh my God, I only have 2 days in a week where I can draw something. I have to make the most of it. And so I think I was kind of creating a little bit of a, self-imposed pressure to have to produce, finish completed work every weekend, which is so unsustainable. And so part of taking a break is to give myself kind of a buffer zone, and to make myself feel like, I can take my time with art making. That not everything has to be a completed work. Things can just be for practice. Things don't have to be posted online. They can just be for yourself. Um, I think like the way that many people started drawing and enjoying art was probably, in like elementary school, middle school, high school, when you just draw, when you go home and just drawing for fun, and that kind of creates like a love for it, right? And there's no, at least for me at the time, there was no pressure to, have to make the best work of your life. It was just to make what you want to make, and and that's so what I want to recreate during this time, just to find that kind of relaxed environment for art making. If that makes sense.
Yeah, there definitely is a difference because when you're younger and well, even now, since you're working not in an artistic field, you can definitely separate the art part of it and the like not art part of it.
Yeah,
And so the art part of it feels more like an escape, something you do for yourself and for fun. But when that becomes
exactly.
like your whole deal, something about that has to change, and some you might not like that. It might feel very different.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's definitely one of the reasons why, one of my personal reasons against me going completely like diving deep into art full time is that I know me and I know that it's really hard for me at the moment to create something unless I really want to do it, and I'm like personally invested in it. And you know, art making also being so closely tied to my identity, it's it turns into something else, like you said, if now you have to rely on it financially. Um, and then whereas right now where I'm like, okay, like I have a change going from my full-time job to art making, now it's like I'm going from art making full-time to drawing again. um, and so yeah, that's, you know, one of the things that I am experimenting with, and we'll see how I do. I know that, you know, for some people it's just nice to keep it as a hobby and have that kind of balance. And I might be one of them, but we'll see.
Okay, can we switch topics completely? Okay, first of all, let's start in the very beginning. When you were a kid, maybe middle school, high school, what was your relationship with art like?
Okay, so I think I started drawing since I was like 3 years old.
Yes.
um, but you know, obviously at that point, for any 3 year old, it's just like you just want to draw things, right? You just want to like you know, like you're just imagining things and you want to read that into life. Um, and then my introduction to digital art was actually, you know, I'm pretty sure it's MS Paint. Like I draw like Pokemon and stuff on MS Paint. Um, but I think in like middle school, I was playing this game, like I said, online forums, right? This like game
Don't be.
called Gaia
Yes.
Online.
Say it.
Oh my
It's
God.
Gaia
I was like,
Online.
yeah, I was like 9 years old on Gaia Online, and I'm like, I don't understand economics, and so I want to make, how do I make online this fake online currency? I'm just gonna draw people art, and they're gonna pay me fake online currency for my art. So that's how my relationship with art had been for an embarrassingly amount of years since then. I think I stopped making art when I went to college. I went into university for computer engineering, or it was general engineering at first, and then I switched over to career computer engineering in my second year. And during that time, there was like no drawing. My relationship with art was just like we had broken up, and
Yep.
you know, I want them back. um, but like during that time, I'm just like trying to survive school, trying to graduate. That like I'm barely thinking about art. I'm kind of just like, oh, I wish I could draw, but there's like no way. And I'm like, oh, maybe like I'll never get to draw again, but right now I gotta graduate. um, I think it's after graduation, you know, like 5 years later after that, um, I took some time off. So I didn't find a job right away after graduation. So similar to how I am now, I just took 6 months off. And I used that time to travel and then dabble into art again with no really intention of doing anything with art. It's mainly just for fun. Um, I think I'd watched My Hero Academia at that time, and I was like, oh my God, I gotta draw my favorite ships.
Yes.
And Yuri on Ice. Oh my gosh, yeah, that is that era. Um, yeah, did I answer your question?
um, there are several
I've gone
points in there
long.
that I want to zoom in on.
Yeah.
First of all, I think a lot of people are probably interested in the decision about like your college decision.
So I think at one point I did think about going into art, namely animation, but I didn't really give it much serious thought. Um, my background is a very typical like Asian immigrant family background where my parents are like, "Oh, it's great that, you can draw, but how about engineering?" Or like life science, med school kind of thing. Um, and my decision making at the time, it wasn't even just between, art and computer science. Actually, at the time, I didn't even know what computer science was. I just kind of, figured that that's kind of a viable career path. But it wasn't even just those two. I was also thinking about going into like macrobiology. I was super into marine biology and ecology. Um, I also really liked history. I wanted to study history, and of course, that's also one of the things that my parents would write off. um, so ultimately, from parental pressures, but also a little bit of, um, you know, self-imposed pressure, I went into engineering. I didn't even apply to any animation schools, anything like that. All of my college applications were for like sciences. And I think I also knew like at the time that um, I didn't know if I wanted to do art for a living. Um, you know, at that time so far, like my art making has just been for myself. And whenever it was for something else, so for example, in high school, I took like an art class, like one of the high school art classes, and we had to have assignments and stuff. I would absolutely hate doing those assignments. It would just like drain me completely. And so from then I was like, okay, I think this would really ruin my relationship with art if I had to rely on this, financially to make a living. So, part of it is parental pressure. Part of it is also, me having that fear that pushed me to pursue the path that I did end up pursuing.
Okay, let me collect my
And I know
thoughts.
you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, this is like, you know, what about all the people who do full art full time? And I just want to say, I have so much respect for people who do art full time. Like, I wish I could do it. I really do. I think I think having like the art school environment is also like a factor as well, right? I know that like a big part of art school is not just the things that you learn, but it's also, the people that you get to meet and the network that you can create. Um, and having like a professor or a mentor is quite different from self-learning. Um, I think having like that feedback that you can get in art school is also important. Some of the things that you can learn if you want to go to art school for education, purely education, that might not be necessary because you can learn a bunch of the things that you want to learn yourself. There's so many resources out there that you don't have to spend the money to go to art school for.
Yeah, I just think like you can just make your own art school. Anything that you might want from art school, including connections. Like we didn't meet at art school. We met on the
Yeah.
internet. Like you can connect anywhere with anyone now, even mentors. So
Yeah,
art
seriously.
school. After you graduated college, you decided to travel. That was an interesting decision for me because, well, it's just interesting. Like, where did you go? What'd you do? What'd you think about?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I think I hopped on a total of like 17 flights that
Mm-hmm.
summer. Um, at first I went to Hawaii as like a grad trip with my friends. This was in like 2017. Um, and that was like I think the first time that I left the country in a while. Um, 'Cause when you're in school, even during the summers, and we have internships. There's like work that we have to do, so there really is no time for travel in all 5 years, and so that was like our first trip. And I think it it was nice to like have that experience with like my university friends outside of university, you know. But after that, I volunteered as a student volunteer for this computer graphics convention in LA. It's called SIGGRAPH.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like a student volunteer in my last year of being a student. I wish I did that like sooner. But I mainly went, behind the lens of being an engineer student. I went to see if there's potentially, any career options for me in terms of computer graphics. So that was really interesting. I got to meet a lot of artists for like the first time, because keep in mind, like when I was in school, I didn't meet any artists. I was just like, my circle was just all engineers. So that was like really eye-opening for me to see like people in different industries. And also people from different like backgrounds and international countries and stuff like that. So that was like a really just like eye-opening experience, I think. And then afterwards, I went to China to visit my family. And that was a whole fiasco. There's kind of a story with it because I didn't have a visa going to China. And so essentially I was like stuck in the airport. Like I couldn't enter the country and I had to take a detour flight to South Korea. And then, end up back in China later on. So just a lot of different experiences, I think. And a lot of that was on my own. Like I mentioned, the only thing that was with my friends was the Hawaii, like the grad trip to Hawaii, which was like only a week. But everything else, volunteering and going to Asia, that was all on my own. And actually, before I went to Asia, I also did some traveling within Canada, where I live. So it was like kind of a road trip between Vancouver and Banff in Alberta, which is a very common road trip that people do. Really scenic, really beautiful. So yeah, I think when I came back from Asia was when I started to kind of draw again, kind of rediscover art, after so long. Yeah. And then as for jobs, during this whole time, I was actually like interviewing. So I would be interviewing with companies like when I was in like the airport in South Korea or something. So just a really like wild and uncertain time in that 6 months. But it was really enriching, I think. So I always recommend it.
Enriching? In what way? It sounds very chaotic to me.
It's super chaotic, right? I think it's enriching just to be able to experience different things. When, at least for me, when I was in school, it's just like it's so easy to just have a tunnel vision of like I need to do my schoolwork, I need to graduate. All the people that I know are people in my program, in my industry, even during the internships, people that you work with, again, like same industry, same discipline. And then in that 6 months after graduation was when I was able to experience so many more different things and meet different types of people that come from different backgrounds. And it changes like your perspective because you're like, oh, for all this time, I thought there's only one career path that I can take. Like, I just thought that I would go to school, I graduate, get a job, and then, work a 9 to 5. But, in China, like, I'm living in this, like, little village at the foot of a mountain. And, like, it's like a water village, and so, like, just imagine me sitting next to like a water village. There's like those iconic Chinese stone bridges, and I'm up at like 5 a.m. and I'm interviewing with someone in Vancouver for like a from like a VFX job.
Yeah.
It's like, what? So in that sense, it was really eye-opening. I know I've said it like so many times, but right now I'm like out of words to how to describe it. It's just you realize that things aren't so black and white. There are multiple things that you can do with your life. When I was traveling, I was like, oh, I don't even have to be like an engineer when I graduate. Why don't I just work in this little village?
Yeah.
um, so yeah, there's just like realizing that there's so many different paths in life, and that just because you've invested so much time into a particular discipline doesn't mean that you need to continue on that path.
If we were to continue chronologically, after you finished
Hmm.
traveling, did you get any of the jobs that were like you're dramatically interviewing for?
Yeah, I did. So to give a sense of the timeline, I graduated in May. Um, so 6 months later, in November, it was when I started working, and that's actually like uh, where I found the job that I currently have right now, in the mobile gaming industry. So, I've been working there for a few years now. Um, Yeah, and so since I started working there, I haven't stopped till now. During the summer this year, summertime was when, for us at least, the numbers weren't so bad. And so that was when I thought, with one of my friends, that we should. Right now we're in Toronto, like in the central east side ish of Canada. And we're thinking, oh, why don't we move to the West Coast for a while and experience living there? So it was kind of an impromptu decision yet again. I think we found like a rental place in like the span of a week, and then the week after that, my friend moved over. The week after that, I moved over. So we spent about 4 months in Vancouver. That's where I also, working from home, but just on a different time zone. And then, yeah, around September, no, October. Yeah, beginning of October was when I came back, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna like go on a 6 month break. See you guys.
I hope I can perhaps corrupt you in these 6 months into perhaps thinking about art.
Well, so what about you? What was it? I know that this is kind of like you asking me questions, but I'm really curious about your story as well. Like at what point did you kind of switch from CS to art?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. The school I went to, the one of the top CS universities in the US, but they also have
Mm,
like other programs, and I went into the art program. But it's like not animation or concept art at all. It's like modern art.
I see, I see.
But most people honestly try to get accepted into an easy major so that they can double major or transfer into CS, which is what I thought I was
Gotcha,
gonna do. And
gotcha.
but like I'm
It's like, oh,
so
this is
shit
kind
at
of nice.
CS. I'm so bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like I know that like CS is like super attractive for a lot of people just because like, oh my God, tech industry, like Silicon Valley, that salary.
Nah.
But it really like isn't for everybody. Um, and just even if you have, you need to have a certain type, like you need to be used to thinking a certain way to do well in CS, or feel comfortable in CS at least. But even then, just for me at least, I just didn't like the environment that much. I hated my school environment. Sounds like, you might have had a better time. I don't
No,
know.
absolutely
No,
not.
okay, great. Not to know it's universal, honestly.
Uh,
I was like, I think I was like at the lowest point of my life mentally when I was in school. Like every day I was just like scrambling to like survive. It was just again like CS is like seems really attractive. I think for looking at the career prospects, but it's not so glamorous, I think. And so
Do
it only
people
makes
think it's
sense for
glamorous?
people.
I have never thought it was
Oh my
glamorous.
God, you know all the people who. Okay, I don't even want to go into it, but I think not the act of like coding itself seems glamorous, but the salary for certain people, you know, working in a certain industry definitely is up there, right? But I think it makes so much sense for people to pursue other, you know, people who are in CS to want to pursue other paths like art or you know, I know some people who like are really into like the culinary arts as well, music and things like that. So yeah, I know it's both ways, like people wanting to switch into CS and people wanting to switch out.
It's basically like the equivalent of I graduated from a top tech school like MIT and now I'm working at Google. It's like equivalent to graduated from Cal Arts and I'm now working at Disney. It kind of
I
feels
mean,
the
there you
same.
go. There you go. Yeah, yeah. And then, I mean, at least for me, I'm like, I don't really see as that big of a deal working for, you know, whatever company. It's all that matters is like, are you enjoying what you're doing? Is this, you know, healthy for you mentally?
Yeah. Mm, I always thought if I had to do something not art related, like I would somehow make it art like related, like I would work for a creative company like you're doing or something like that. But definitely not like just go straight into tech.
I know. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly the thought that I had because that's why I went to the SIGGRAPH convention. Was because I was seeing like, okay, like what, you know, opportunities could I get with the degree that I have within the realm of graphics. Um, so yeah, I'm on the same boat. And even now, even though I am working in the gaming industry, I don't do any of the, you know, creative stuff, but it's nice to be able to work people who do that. You know, just have like a good mix of disciplines. Usually the tech scene is like you have the engineers and you have the salespeople.
Ugh.
Those are the different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a really broad topic, but like, do you have any tips for like getting your mental health back after like destroying it in uni? Like, aside from traveling, like, it's a slow process, right? Like, it takes years.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, first of all, I think it also depends, you know, where your mental struggles stem from. Um, I think a common one in school is just being under that pressure, right? And that's part of the reason why I like recommend taking a long-term break after school. Um, I just thought, at least for me at the time, I thought it would be so detrimental if I came out of graduation and started working immediately. I don't know how I could have done that mentally. Um, and so I knew absolutely that I needed that break. And you know, you can use that time and just feel like you can use that time however you want, you know, whether it's for rest, whether it's to gain different experiences. Um, I know one of my friends, I think she took a year or more than a year off after graduation, and she worked, you know, a couple part-time jobs, like as a florist, um, as like like a home bakery. She had like her home bakery company. Um, so you know, I think a big part of like mental struggle is again being in that like student mindset, having that tunnel vision of like, you know, just this is what I need to do. Like I need to do well in school, and then I need to find a job, and everything that I do revolves around, this one thing, this one discipline. So using that break time to kind of gain different experiences and just broaden your horizons a little bit, allow yourself to see a bigger picture is really important.
Yeah. I definitely have been seeing that. Like my senior friends are like, how do I get a job in the industry? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, but you don't have to get a job in the industry. You know that, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, who's to say that you have to do it exactly? You can use this time, and like you said, like when you're in school, when you're working, it's also difficult to find the time to make art for yourself, right? For personal art for yourself. So, sounds like a great time to have, some time off to really do what you like and just indulge in that for a little bit, you know.
Yeah, I feel like that's what I spent last year doing, and now it's like I'm tired of not doing anything. So here we are.
And now it's like too much indulgence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point, right? Because there's a matter of having some discipline as well. You can get to a point where, you're so relaxed that you just used to it, and it's hard to get back on your feet after and, produce stuff. So again, it's about having a balance, and it's like way easier said than done. But I think for like most students, the struggle I think is the former, where you are just so stressed to have to, do certain things because you feel like that's what you have to do.
Yeah, especially if you go to a competitive college.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm curious about your daily life. Is there anything like your routines that you feel like help you or keep
Yeah.
you sane?
So disclaimer, routines are like really hard to set up and so easy to break. So as a disclaimer, right now, because of the holidays, I don't have a routine anymore. But before then, what I would do is like I would wake up super early. Like I didn't think I was gonna be a morning person. I'm like in school, I'm the type of person who's just like sleeping at like 5 a.m. and waking up in the afternoon,
No.
as I imagine most students are. But then, later on, I don't know what happened. I just became a morning person, and I would wake up at like 6 a.m., 6:30, 7 sometimes in the morning, and I would do like yoga or qigong. Sometimes I do it at the park, which is like really fun.
Alone.
um, Alone at the park
Okay.
doing qigong, okay, and then sometimes I see like aunties doing Tai Chi, and I really want to join them, but I'm too shy. But maybe one of these days. um, so yeah, I think I start off with doing some yoga, and then usually some exercise before I start, the working day. And then after work is kind of the wind down, really. Like I mentioned, usually after work, I don't do any art. I just don't have the energy or the time. But that doesn't mean that, you're not like, you're wasting that time. It's still time that you're putting to good use, resting and relaxing and, consuming whatever anime, watching Netflix and whatnot. But yeah, and usually weekends are the times where I'm like, okay, well, maybe, I feel like really relaxed, and I feel a bit inspired. Let's see if I can draw today. And that's usually when I just like sit down for like a straight however many hours and about something, maybe.
Yeah. You say that you also kind of like run this shop that it's like you get a lot of orders, don't you?
Sometimes, it's nice because it's kind of like a thing that I fulfill maybe one day on the weekend. So usually like on Saturdays is when I'm thinking, okay, do I need to package some things? And yeah. Um, Usually when I do have a lot of orders, it's when I have like a project kind of thing, like the calendar, and that's when I'm like, okay, no, this entire week is dedicated to fulfilling orders, and then when that's done, I can get back to my routine, which is so easily broken.
Yeah, I was watching some YouTubers vlog and I saw your like haiku art. I was like, wow, it's Helen.
What? Really?
Yeah. Um,
Oh, it's so fun. I love when that happens. I love when like sometimes I see it on TikTok, and I'm like, oh wow, okay.
how long are you on TikTok? I need to expose it.
Not that long anymore, to be
Okay.
honest. It's just one of those things where I realize, okay, this is not good for me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, um, yeah. Right now, the thing that's toxic for me, believe it or not, is like chess.
Chess?
Of all things. Yeah, I just somehow really got into chess.
Okay.
So like I would play that for like hours in a day, and it's like ruining my relationships. And I'm recognizing it as a problem. So like
Okay.
TikTok is one of those things where I'm like, okay, I need to like reel it back a little bit. So again, it's like trying to be disciplined with yourself.
You're like a gamer, but like you're not doing the right gaming.
I know, I know.
Toxic chess gamer.
Toxic chess playing. No,
Wow.
like it's like I'm like, how people are toxic on League. I'm like super toxic. Like I get really
Uh-huh.
angry with chess. But yeah, that's like besides the point. But yeah, just there are many things in this world that are distractions. And it's just about like recognizing it, I guess, and then somehow finding a balance. Sometimes it means cutting it. You have that for yourself, like something that's like way too distracting?
Well, it's Kenshin, so yeah.
Oh my God, of course, of course. That's why I don't play Genshin because I just know that that's how I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I'm not
be.
gonna try to get you in a Genshin either, because true
Good,
friends
thank
don't do
you.
that. uh, yeah, sometimes I think about what life would have been like if I never did that. I have no
You can
idea.
do it. You can do it. You can be free. I believe in it.
um, I don't. Okay, this isn't related to anything, but I was just scrolling down all your socials, and I just realized like we share a lot of the same favorite characters and shows, and I was like,
Oh, we do? Oh my
no,
God.
I
So,
didn't know you watched Word of Honor first of all, but
oh
that
my God.
that's so. I feel like it's kind of niche.
Yeah, I think it's niche in like maybe the international scene. I know it's like really popular in China. How did you get into it?
I was probably just on YouTube watching like stupid compilations of stuff, and I was like, ooh, what's this?
Oh, okay, okay. Is your favorite character Wen Kuxing?
Yes.
Wait, he's literally still my wallpaper on my phone.
Oh no! Wow! He's
Yeah,
just so
so like
iconic. I think
he's
about
so
him all the
good.
time.
Oh my God, me too.
No, there's just one Tumblr post that was like Wen Kuxing's like perspective on like love and how most people think they have to be perfect in order to find someone else, and Wen Kuxing was like, "I'm fucked up, but I deserve love too."
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah.
Such a good
And
one.
that like that's his whole vibe, like in the novel too. I'm not gonna go into spoilery tone, but yeah, his whole vibe is like, yeah, I know I'm a shitty person, but like
I kind of want. a freaking soulmate. So
Yeah. I think how I found Word of Honor was because I'm really into this other novel that the same author wrote called what is the English name? I think the English name is Kill the Wolf. The Chinese name is Sha Po Lang. It's like a steampunk Danmei novel, and yeah, because I know the author, and she's like a really famous author. And when I discovered that like her other novel's gonna be made into a drama, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm so down. I'm been waiting for this since the Untamed ended.
Okay, I'm looking this up. I feel like this is not an interview anymore.
I just remembered I have so because of the Untamed, I like bought 2 Chinese flutes.
Uh,
And I like literally have them right here.
oh my god.
Look.
Oh my god, what was that love song called?
Wang Xian, right?
Okay, it's literally the ship name, I forgot. Wait, so did you play flute?
I played like the, orchestra variety flute in high school. I wasn't like very good. Actually, I was really bad. I only played it for 1 year. But I was just like super inspired by, Untamed, MDZS, whatever. So I bought 2 flutes. I'm like learning them. I also bought a guqin, like the instrument.
What? Come on. You're gonna be the whole ship yourself, okay?
I know, but see, this is how bad I am. That's what I'm saying about like I like need the discipline because I just like fall like head first. And it's so bad. Yeah. So I'm also like trying to learn that in my free time.
Okay.
I can't wait for like, for conventions where I can cosplay as one character the one day and then the other one, the other half of the ship the next day, and just be like alone. But like, I can like serenade people.
Yeah, I was thinking about that time I went to KatsuCon and like a Wei Wuxian cosplayer just like was like, "Do you want to hear me play Wang Qian to you?" And she just stood there and played it in the middle of Artist Alley. I was like, "Cool."
Oh my god, that's my dream.
I also just finished rewatching Run with the Wind, and I had like a lot of feelings.
Oh my god, you know what? I think I saw you like that tweet that I had.
I was scrolling through your Twitter. Okay, I was like,
Oh my god, Run with the Wind. Okay, also good choice. Rewatching it like, near the New Year's. Like what a good
yeah,
time to watch Run with the Wind. Oh my god. Like it's so good that like I convinced like my normie friends to also watch it and like the friend that was with me in Vancouver this summer, I made her watch it with me and she is like so into it. She's not even like, a weeb or anything like that. She's like, oh my god, like she watched it I think 4 times now.
oh,
It's a testament to like how good it really is. Anyway, yeah, like
it's just a
like
good
we can have a
show. Like no
session of
one
us
knows
just
about.
like just talking about the yeah, it really is so underrated. Oh my god. It's just like a masterpiece, man. I don't know. You know what? Like, yeah, like I love Haikyuu and everything. I really do. I just like I don't think anything can compare to Run with the Wind, like in my heart. I'm sorry. You know what? This is like really inspiring me now. Maybe that's what I'm gonna do next.
Do you still remember Run with the Wind? Because like when I rewatched it, I didn't remember anything except that I liked Tai Chi.
I'm jealous of that because I want to experience it for the first time again.
Seriously, you don't remember any? Like you remember all of it?
I remember everything. I remember the episode title.
What?
I like I've seen it like also I think like 4 or 5 times.
That's probably why.
So yeah, like my thing is that like don't I don't like watch new things anymore. I just rewatch the things that
Yeah,
I know I like.
that's relatable.
It's really sad. Did you
Although,
enjoy did you enjoy Jujutsu?
I finished it just because I got so far into it, but like, I'm not super invested.
Yeah. I really want to love it. Maybe need to give it another shot. Yeah, I never actually finished it.
Okay, I'm like a MBTI fanatic, so like I think about this a lot. Reagan and Gojo are like the same personality type, but they're like,
I don't know. I is Gojo like as like okay, you know what? Reagan's not wholesome. I shouldn't say wholesome. What's the word?
he's a rat man.
He's a rat man. Oh my god, I love the rat man so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, honestly, yeah. Like I think my favorite like characters ever are like Reagan and Haiji.
Aww.
I did enjoy Gojo and Jujutsu, but and all, because I was like, oh, I'm getting a bit of like Reagan vibes from this, but maybe if we
I
continue, I
think
like him
perhaps
more.
Gojo is
But
just like not genuine enough. I think he's a little preoccupied with being cool, so
yeah, that's the thing. I think that's the thing, right? He is cool. Like Reagan is so uncool. That's what I
exactly.
like about him.
I'm looking through. I wrote a lot down about what I want to talk about. I think we actually got through most of it.
Oh, okay.
A lot of it is just me complimenting you.
Oh my God.
um, I mean, just the
I'm
fact that Mob Psycho is like one of your favorite anime. I feel like when someone's favorite anime is Mob, it says a lot. um,
that's like what I think too. I'm like I trust you if you like Mob Psycho.
I guess if there's anything else, it would be I saw that you mentioned wanting to do YouTube a few times on Curious Cat. And
Oh, yeah.
I just feel like from the outside, you feel like a YouTuber, just without the YouTube
Mm.
part.
Oh my gosh, in what sense?
Like your living space is pretty aesthetic in general. Also, you kind of run like a small business, like you pack orders,
Oh
you send
yeah.
orders. Um,
Yeah, I do really like watching, those vlogs of like small business owners like work vlogs of just like packaging things and daily like studio vlogs and whatnot. I thought those would be fun, but um I think mainly because like I'm just someone who has like a lot of like hobbies that I just want to put everything together, and just like share that in one place.
uh-huh.
But I don't know, like that's also like I don't know if it's supposed to be like an art channel, like a vlog
I
type of
think it's
channel.
funny if it's like you spend like
So,
a minute drawing and then the next minute you're playing Guchin and the next you're like spending 5 minutes
right?
playing chess.
Right? And then the next video is like a yoga class or something. Like a qigong, like do qigong with me at the park.
I think just like lifestyle vlogs would be interesting because,
That's what I was thinking, but
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm also super lazy and just like don't want to get started on something. So I'm really surprised to know that you have a YouTube channel. I was really like pleasantly surprised.
Well, yeah, I started making some toxic videos last year because I was like angry about university. I was like, fuck art. But then I deleted those videos. I was like, this isn't gonna good luck. And then I took a break and then I came back and now I'm like hopefully doing good in the art world now.
You know what? I don't blame you, to be honest. I don't blame you at all. Yeah, so I mean, I think even a lot of my coworkers are kind of okay, so some of them just thought I was pregnant, and I was like, no, that's not what's happening. Yeah, a lot of my coworkers also just figured like, okay, yeah, Helen's not coming back. Um, but like honestly, I don't know. Like I don't even know what I'm doing right now these days. I'm just kind of, like watching my plants grow, I guess, not doing much, which is a nice change, I think. Um, but I don't know. We'll see in April. I might extend it. I might be happy to go back to work. I like very much doubt it. But yeah, I think I'm hoping to maybe plan to have something else to like another project like thing to work on during the 4 months. Um, but again, point is to just not, put a lot of pressure on myself.
Yeah, in the very beginning you mentioned that okay, you don't like doing art when you're forced to do it.
Yeah.
But I think that the art that you're making right now, that you're not being forced to make, that you just like to make, is the art that everyone likes. Like that's how ironic being an artist is that the more you try to make people like your stuff, the less they will like it. And the more genuine you are about it, the more people will naturally gravitate towards you. So
Yeah, I think no, yeah, I do think that like a lot of times that is the case. I think something about um like genuine work that people can just relate to. Other times, that's not always the case, right? And it's not always that you can find an audience for the work that you personally like. So I'm fortunate in that sense, and that some of the things that I do like, others like as well. Um, there are other things that I do like that I don't think others would like, and so I just don't share it, which is fine, and just kind of, draw from myself. Like my general view on it is that like I don't think that for like me to feel validated about my own art I need to do it full time or anything like that. A part of it, what makes it fun, is also having it as a hobby. Um, and so I don't think that like to be like an artist you'd have to necessarily make money from something or that be your main source of income. So going into it in that mentality, I think that's why I'm kind of just, playing it by ear and seeing how I feel. I'm not deliberately trying to, you know, switch my career. Um, I'm just trying to experience like what it's like using, my time in a different aspect than uh, my full time job, right? So,
yes.
yeah.
Well, okay, I'm kind of curious. Is there anything like specific about why you just don't want to work from where you work anymore?
Um, okay, so for one thing, like I mentioned, I do really identify with being a software engineer. I'm not saying that that's how I expect it to be forever. Um, but there are parts of, software development that I do really enjoy. Certain analytical aspects of it, of the problem solving, I really find really enjoyable and challenging in a good way, right? So that's pretty much the only thing that I do enjoy about software development. I have certain personal views on the industry, not the gaming industry, but just tech industry in general. That makes me want to kind of not devote not devote myself full time to it, for the rest of my life, kind of thing. So, um, yeah, that's kind of like where my hesitances lie with my current job, my current career path. Um, I don't know how to steer away from it. I don't know if I want to steer away from it. Again, I'm just playing everything by ear and seeing what I enjoy at the moment. Yeah, I think a big part of it maybe is the environment. I don't always, I think with my current company, it's not bad. I really do, relate with my coworkers. Like everyone's kind of like a gamer and everyone's a weeb, and it's just really fun. Honestly, it's super fun working where I work. It's just like looking at this type of career long term is, where I'm kind of more hesitant, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, doing anything for like more than 5 years of your life is like kind of like
Yeah.
it's hard to make that decision. I don't know, like it's just life.
Yeah. I know. But the thing is that like we don't have to decide, right? That's why I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna take a break right now, um, and see what I like end up doing now. So, yeah, I think part of like what makes deciding on like college major so difficult is that like you feel like, oh my gosh, like whatever I choose is going to determine the rest of my life, or at least it seems that way, but it's not at all. People change careers all the time. People change careers multiple times. You know, things aren't as linear as it seems.
Well, maybe we can conclude this interview for now. I know it's like around dinner time for you, probably.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's fine. This is really enjoyable for me, honestly. I just feel like we're, just chatting. We're just friends chatting.
Yeah, perhaps I will have some more ideas about conversations we could have.
I mean, props to you for doing this too. It's like it
Uh,
must be, first of all, like reaching out to artists and then also like organizing it and then coming up with the conversations and topics, which are like you're doing a really good job with. Like these are like really good,
Thanks. Well, it's because I usually don't care about people, but when I care about someone, I'm like, I need to know everything.
Well, I care about you too.
Thanks. We can have the rest of our lives to get to know each other, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah,
um,
yeah.
if I ever visit Canada, I will find out where you live.
Oh my God, stay with me. No, well, thank you for having me. Really, I'm like super honored that, you reached out to me, and it's really nice to meet you again, like almost IRL.
Shall we perhaps say goodbye?
Yeah, well, thank you again. Have a lovely evening. You probably also are getting hungry.
Yeah, kind of. Okay.
Okay, see you.
Bye bye, Helen.